Hey, it's Anthony Iannarino, thesalesblog.com, right here, youtube.com/Iannarino, author of The Only Sales Guide You'll Ever Need, and now The Lost Art of Closing at thelostartofclosing.com. And I want to share with you a direct message exchange I've had on Twitter for part of the day today, and I tend to try to respond to people when I can. Sometimes it's easier than others, and today I had a chance to respond to this. So the question comes in, it says, "Hey Anthony, question. What would your strategy be on talking to the Kansas state rep on making a new safety law?" I replied, I'd tell a story. If I was trying to get a law made, I would probably tell a story about what happened to someone because the law didn't exist. The person sending me the direct message says, that story won't be heard if they don't contact back. And I replied, why is it their job to contact you back? And I want you to think about this from a sales perspective. It's never your prospect's job to call you back. You're pursuing them for their business. You're pursuing them with your good idea. They're not pursuing you. So it's your responsibility to have the contact plan and to have the grit and determination to contact them back. So even though you leave a message and say, call me at this number, that's not their job. They're not obligated to do that. You're obligated to call them back because you want their help or you want their business. So this young man who's an inventor says, when you've tried every possible way to contact them, other than going to headquarters, I don't have $1,500 plus for maybe meeting one way. And the only way to get these major companies to even look at me is making this law. But even when your state representative won't return anything, it's hard. It takes money to have these meetings. Okay, so here's the thing. There's a difference between resources and resourcefulness. And you may not have the resources, but you always have your own creativity, your own imagination, your own grit, your own determination, your own initiative. All those things still belong to you even when you have no money. This is how people who have nothing become successful, even though they started with nothing. Most of the people that I know that end up with something started with nothing, and that's why they hustled to create that in the first place. The second thing that is interesting about his comment is he thinks his invention is so good that the only way he's going to be able to sell it is if the state government actually makes a law that forces people to have to use what he has a patent on. That already tells you that the idea may not be as good or marketable as you think it is if you need the government to actually force people to buy your product. It's such a simple but smart patent. Just one company needs to talk to me and it's off, but I'm not in-house. Invention Home is helping in their market, but that only goes so far. Okay, so I think what he's saying here is that people have their own in-house science labs, etc., research development, and that since he's an outsider, they won't let him in. And I replied to him, when you have no resources, you have to go with resourcefulness. Well, he's a young man, and what he says is, not in this situation. There's no resourcefulness. Same thing over and over again. I'm not in-house. Companies won't give you the time of day. I mean, if you pay them enough. Okay, so this is a person who has a problem here. And the problem is not that this problem that he has is not solvable. Just like the fact that you can't reach your dream client is difficult, it doesn't mean it's not solvable. It is solvable over time. With enough creativity and with enough determination, it will work for you. And I wrote back to him, the limit of your resourcefulness is the limit of your results. That and your persistence. And that's the truth about what it takes to generate results. It's the limit of your resourcefulness and the limit of your persistence and your determination over time. He said, you're only limited by the funds and willingness of others to listen. No one listens, you can't be heard. No, you can't be heard. I can be heard. And a lot of other people can be heard. And a lot of other people get meetings with C-level executives to pitch their ideas every single day in America. It's a matter of having a pitch that's going to resonate with them and something that they're going to see as valuable. And you have to have that strong enough that somebody says, I'm willing to trade my time to listen to this individual. And he must not have that part right yet. And maybe he could fix it. But what I told him is, as long as you believe that it's true, when you change your mind, you'll change your actions, and you'll eventually change your results. Until then, you sit and suffer. And what he's suffering is he's saying, I don't have the money, no one will listen to me, the government has to force people to buy my product or this isn't going to happen. And that is a disempowered, a negative, pessimistic viewpoint, and it will keep you from succeeding, whether it's applied to launching your invention or your business, or whether it's selling, either way. All right, so he puts his final direct message in here. And it says, I mean, we're all adults here, and you know it takes money to talk to big CEOs of massive companies. No, it doesn't take money. It takes something different. It takes having an idea about what you have that will benefit them so greatly that they're willing to entertain listening to your idea. It's not a matter of money. And I've sold to big CEOs and big companies when I had no money, and I had a $3 million business, and I called on companies that measured their revenue in billions of dollars. It does not come down to money. It'd be nice to have money, but it's not the determining factor. When you're simply just a patent owner and not a business, when you can't get past the we're not taking new ideas, or when you're limited on who you can discuss the patent with, you can only do so much or go so far alone. It's not what I believe, it's what my eyes can see. I'm not in suffer. Well, sucks for my daughter, but if funds are limited, you're limited. No, funds are not the limitation here. The limitation is mindset. And people who eventually succeed fail a lot of times, and they struggle for a long time. And so if you want what you want, then you have to have the patience and the grit and the pluck and the initiative and the determination to go after what you want and persist long enough that you get it. And if you have a great idea, a lot of people are going to tell you no, and that's okay. And if you're in sales, you're going to call a lot of people who are going to say no, or not right now, or call me another time, or get back with me next year, or whatever else they're going to say to you. But how you succeed is by persisting and being creative enough to change your approach over and over again. And if you want something bad enough, and if you want something for your daughter, I'm speaking directly to this gentleman who I will send him a link, then you have to decide what you're willing to do. Are you willing to be resourceful? Are you willing to be determined? Are you willing to find the money? $1,500 is not an insurmountable amount of money for someone to come up with. And then go sit in front of the Kansas State House until you can grab your representative while he's walking in. If you're not willing to do those things, then you're going to have a patent that's worth nothing to no one because you weren't creative enough, resourceful enough, and determined enough to make that happen. And that's the truth about success in every endeavor, not for this gentleman alone. I'm Anthony Iannarino. Hit the subscribe button. This is Everyday.